This is your daily market recap for Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at EXP Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market recap for Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. Hopefully you're doing well. Been a decent little siesta. Rest. A lot of people know I've been super busy. Had to take some time off for family and bigger issues going on in my life, and came back recharged, ready to go. A lot of people had a lot of questions. You know, if needed, always reach out. I appreciate all of the love and support. It's been, been a long couple weeks, but necessary things. Things are on the up and up. All those that know what's going on, I appreciate, again, all of your patience, love, and support. You guys know what's going on, and things are on the up and up. And let's get into the markets. Again, if you're new to the channel, check out Discord room. The link is in description below. Follow on Twitter, always posting what we think is important. Interesting today, Salesforce CEO dumped $100 million worth of shares. AI is strong, right? Like I said, I still think it's a bubble, but this is the thing, since we've been gone, this is what the hardest thing is. Livermore said, the market can be more irrational than longer than you can stay solvent sometimes. And that's the key, having stops, defining your risk, knowing what you're doing, and being aware that the market can rip in certain directions without leadership, with leadership, narrowing leadership, for as long as it needs. It doesn't make sense all the time. That's what I think the struggle here is, that people are looking for a science, an exact science, so what to do. And market's very emotional. People are emotional. Remember, people do things when they're emotional. They usually regret it, or things can go a lot further than they think, right? In the sense of emotions can build momentum. Hopefully if you're following on YouTube, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you watch the options expiration, aka ChopX, talk about the Discord room, how I thought last week was going to be the top in the market. ChopX blowing out, killing the VIX, putting the bears basically in the coffin, nail in the coffin. Let's get into it. Also, too, check out the website, Back to Basics series, from for beginner videos down to more advanced. You guys know what I'm talking about. Also, too, check out the link for the markets account. Again, 5.15% for 3 months, and then 4.15. It's basically where I store all of my excess cash. Again, if you're trying to get that 250 or less threshold, FDIC insurance. Goldman's not going anywhere. Buffett owns a bunch of it. It's a good place to store money because, again, I think interest rates, again, in general, you should be getting paid to wait. So, CME tool, we talked about, hey, the Feds didn't do anything. Now we're looking into the July meeting. As of right now, it's looking like a hike, but this is the thing. We know it changes, right? It just changes constantly. Like 1 month ago, it was considered a pause. The Fed's latest language, we'll talk about that. They talked about 2 more rate hikes this year. I think that's not possible, in the sense of that I think they'll talk about jawboning it up, but it's not going to happen. So just keep an eye on this stuff. Link if you need it, just hit me up. Always willing to help. Bitcoin, finally, let's get into it. Been chopping around, testing the range. It's kind of been all over the place. It kind of, just all of these names that were supposed to be inflation hedges or hyperinflation hedges. And again, if they're pulling liquidity out of the market, which they are, these names have been chopping. Now, someone said, hey, is it breaking the trend line? Looks like it, but, you'd like to see it with volume. Like, say, like here, you broke this, little down wedge. Not even down wedge, whatever. Little trend line with volume, and then went higher. Keep an eye on it. Could be a trap. Oil, as we've talked about, going nowhere fast. Been warning folks for what seems like, it has been 6 months. Going nowhere fast. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but that's just the reality. Again, I think oil long term will probably explode higher once the Feds go into what? Easy mode. And easing, they're not there yet. That's when I think the bottom in commodities will happen, is when the Feds pivot. There'll be a blowout. That bottom will be commodity bottom. Pleasure. Natural gas. Again, a month later, where are we? Nowhere. As I warned people, I think this stuff is going to be bottoming out, basing. There's not a lot of upside, in my opinion, near term. Again, same kind of stuff we talked about until the Feds do what? Pivot. Commodities are a no-no. Now, again, not saying you can't trade them. I just don't think they have much upside. The dollar, all right. Talk about this day being kind of a complete joke. I think it's going higher. Higher highs, higher lows. 200-day. Now watch the 50, 100-day cross. It doesn't look like it's breaking down. TLT. Now, again, this is where I've been saying, watch the range. It's just been tight. 109, 110, 100, just going nowhere. Again, if bonds yields go lower, the economy looks like it's slowing down quicker than they think, I wouldn't be surprised if the TLT rose. So if you traded it and wanted to play the trade, it's for defense, it makes sense to me. It's just it might not be that sexy or attractive. Might go sideways for longer than you think. The VIX, holy crap, I thought 16 was low. Get out of here. We hit the next range lows, down in the 13s. People are saying, is it going to go to 11, 12? Yeah, I don't know. I thought we bottomed during the first 3 business days of the month. Look at this crap. Just absolute VIX termination. Keep an eye on it. VIVIX, we like to keep an eye on this thing. It's tricky because the VIVIX looks stronger, right? Like the VIX down here. Somebody's using, somebody's buying protection. Now, a lot of people say, well, that means the market can run higher. I mean, you could argue that. People buying protection will be willing to hold the market. Again, the VIX is cheap. It makes sense. We'll see what happens. SPY. Now, this is where it's starting to get a little interesting. We talk about turnaround Tuesday or whatever, blow off the VIX. Blow off during OPEX. A little pro gap down. You had your ex-dividend on the SPY. Yeah, I mean, we're at some levels that just, again, old trend lines, all sorts of crazy stuff where we're just, did we expect to hit it? No, I mean, I didn't. Again, I still think the economy's slowing rapidly. Credit stuff is only getting worse. We talk about credit bubbles burst all at once, what it seems like, but it's a slow contraction of credit that kills the economy slowly, right? Like, think about it. Banks have so much they can lend out, and then as they get further along and they're less likely to lend, then there's only so many people they can lend to, and they become less credit worthy, and it's like a domino effect. It's just interesting hitting the back test of this trend line on the monthly and the SPY. On the weekly. Yeah, I'd keep an eye on it. Now, people are saying, well, is the market going higher? I personally, again, you pick and choose your own defense. I don't chase markets. Like, if you're going long here, you have to be worried about at any point overnight, kapow. People say, oh, but it's going to scream higher. It's like, all right, well, clearly the SPY shorts, the ES shorts got whacked, right? They got wiped out, blown out, right? Filled these gaps. It's tough to know for sure. I personally, again, I'd be looking to short, but this is the thing. People go, oh, you said being short. Well, that's where you define your risk. If you think this is a bull market starting, well, then fine. You do what you got to do. I personally think we're not even close. Again, I think things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. Remember, bear markets end when VIX gets up in the 50s plus, minimum 48.50. And guess what? Everyone hates stocks. Everyone hates stocks now? No. QQQ, now here's been the culprit of like blowing out. Here we go. Qs rising, right? Filling gaps. Check this out. Checking out, retesting highs, straight line moves. This is dangerous. It's just like down here, we're talking like shorting. Like, you got to be high as a kite. Chasing up, you got to be high as a kite. Thought that was, this went sideways. Now it's gone parabolic. Look at the huge volumes. I know that's OPEX. There's a lot of big red volume candles up here. Feels very distributory. IWM. Keep an eye on this one, right? We talked about it lagging. You think the IWM would be on fire. No. It's just stuck. Absolutely stuck. And remember, it was stuck for all of 2021. Now people going, well, what's next? Just keep an eye on it. DIA, right? Dow, retesting range highs. It doesn't really look that good, y'all. You had a lot of gap downs today. Big volume distributory potentially on Friday. On OPEX, keep an eye on it. Gold, every time someone gets bullish on them, like, you just short all the pops. Now you're breaking the 100-day. I'm telling you right now, Feds want gold down, and the best time to buy this stuff is when the Fed pivots. The Feds are not pivoted. Look at silver today. Absolutely curb stomped. Big gap down, making lower lows. It looks terrible. I don't even need to spend much time. Someone's asking me about GDX. I'm like, cover your shorts. I'm like, cover your shorts? Let this son of a bitch run. I've showed you guys many times on the monthly weeklies. Like, when the Feds are raising and the market starts to peel, miners are going to get slapped. If there's credit crunches, these guys get crushed. And you're like, what are you talking about, Dan? It's like, all right, I'll do it again. It's like, Jesus, Sam, do you have to see this chart 1,000 times? Here you go, 2008. Here you go, COVID. I mean, just in general. I mean, just leave the stuff alone, because what happens is, obviously miners are very credit conscious, right? Meaning that they run off of credit, pay their supplies based on what they sell. And again, people just, whether it's right or wrong, I mean, it just seems that these names always get punished way harder. Double top, chop base, going lower. That's what it looks like to me. People get mad. I'm like, all right, whatever. GDXJ always leads, right? Breaking the 200 day. Watch out. It's going to go much lower. AEM today, big gap down. Follow through, making new lows. Oops. AG. I mean, we talked about this name being stuck, going nowhere. I like it maybe in the, I don't know where I like it now. I like it much lower. Newmont. We talked about this one lagging for weeks, months. It's nice that it's popped, but it's nowhere close to the January highs. PAAS has gotten obliterated. We've talked about a lot of these names. It's not rocket science. Leave them alone. Let's get into tech, right? Taiwan Semi, we'll start here. All these names got pumped because of AI. And it's amazing how this narrative of AI is somehow not, not priced in. I try to, remind people, this is what bubbles do. They price in all future growth, then fail. Well, Buffett sold his Taiwan Semi. You can zoom out. You look at the weekly. Last week you have a hammer. I mean, it could be a left-right combo. I was looking at this earlier today. If you're looking to trade this thing, I mean, could this be big red coming next? Now, again, most people can't wait for the weekly candle to set up, but that's what it looks like to me. I mean, blow off top. Remember, big outside candle, flips around. Just keep it on. I mean, all these names look kind of very similar. Micron, same thing, blows off. Talk about these tops aren't going to retest. Tries to just get up in the 70 area. AMD, another one, blows off. Not coming back. Look at that volume. Jesus Christ. Someone's like, get me out of here. NVIDIA. Now, this is one I'm a little surprised about, but are you? I mean, we're getting up to a fib extension, the 440 range. I mean, this thing is, go look at the monthly. I mean, it's just green candle delight. Distributive. Now, this is why people go, oh, but this is the candle to continue higher. Is it? I don't know. They've got some stuff coming out on Thursday. Keep an eye on it. Intel is, this one ran up. Look at this. It gets up into this 37 area. It's, if you zoom out, you can see there's importance here. I mean, NH was talking about dude, Eric, this is an outside reversal candle. Make new highs, close below it. That's at worst a couple days down. Does not look good. SMH blowing out, right? Going up, retesting range highs on the weekly, monthly. Does it make sense? Again, pricing in all the AI future. We've talked about competition. It's kind of like NVIDIA is oh, we've got the best chips. And the next thing AMD's making chips. The next thing Intel. And they flood the market with a market that's already flooded with chips. Dangerous. Adobe, this thing went parabolic. Look at that outs blow off. I mean, just a lot of these names look a little dangerous. Very sus. Apple been running up. I mean, making new all-time highs. Right. I mean, again, I guess they're the best bank in the world. That's kind of how people should price it. And be careful, be thoughtful. I mean, it's gotten really hot. I mean, the 20-day is the key, clearly. Once it breaks below it, Amazon. Oh, but they're going to provide AWS. Okay, yeah. I mean, we talked about all these names potentially popping. This is the thing. Got to give ourselves credit for talking about the pops coming off the lows. Did not expect these names to go parabolic. Now, this is part of trading. You're never going to be always right. So if you have this mindset of oh, I did this and I can't be wrong, guess what? You're going to be wrong again. Yeah, keep an eye on it. CRM. CEO sells 100 million shares, back testing some monthly trend lines. Interesting area. I'd keep an eye on it. Guggenheim been stuck here in the mid 120s for a while. Upside target zone hit. Meta, I mean, I am mind boggled. They still buy this thing, but it's oh, they're making, they've got virtual reality. It's okay, all right. People need to learn how to live in physical reality. It's pretty hard. Microsoft, another blow off looking candle-ish. I mean, retesting, making lower highs in the weekly, monthly. Keep an eye on it. NDAQ, we've talked about this one lagging for a while. Ugh. volumes on the NASDAQ are going to die. I've tried to warn people this is a fact about tech, is that after a tech bubble, commodities lead. Commodities become more, are the bullets that lets the tech war continue on. It's not like Microsoft, all these companies aren't going to be around. It's just their margins are going to get murdered. MicroStrategy, of course, if Bitcoin's bouncing, that's a nice little trade. 30, 40 points, probably gets up, could get up a little higher, even especially if it goes. Netflix, keep an eye on this one again. Been blowing off, but if you go look at the month, like the monthly, you can see you're coming to some interesting areas up in here. Some Fibbies, some good old Fibonacci. This area is important. Keep an eye on it. Hit me up if you got any questions. The old Roblox. Go Roblox, chopping, going nowhere. Tesla. Now this is interesting today on a Monday. Continues to rise, filling gaps. I mean, could it get into the 290s? That's the next kind of area of resistance support, right? Like somewhere in this area. I mean, if you zoom out the weekly, monthly, you see it. There's a lot of coalescing. I mean, I would be careful. I would not be jumping in front of that one to short. But I mean, if you do, define your risk. I mean, you can short all of these with defined risk. Just be like, all right, the market irrational, you could be wrong. Letter X, we talk about commodities lagging, pops up to the 200-day. Nucor. I mean, they all look very similar, right? Due to bounce, gap, nice little pro gap, and then retesting some ranges. Backing off, looking a little tired. Caterpillar, meow, 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 right? Nice little run up. It's interesting how it's gotten stuck up here. Go look at the weekly, monthly, zoom out. There's some major resistance around 250. Keep an eye on it, VALE. I mean, a lot of these names. Again, the market tried to pull them all up. Are they starting to turn? A lot of gaps, downs. Arrow. Keep an eye on this. Double top. Little gap down. I mean, these gap downs precede what? Down moves? CCJ, again, a lot of people going, oh, you're wrong on this. And like, yeah, we talked about it pulling back and chopping around. Again, I like uranium, but I'm not going to chase this stuff. I'm just not. I don't think it's going to the moon. I think, if anything, it's going to trade in ranges, and people don't like that. That's the reality, in my opinion. Ranges. Range bound. CF, not surprised it did a little capitulation and bounce. Again, it just looks like it's stair-stepping its way down. We like ag long-term, but not under these conditions. Mosaic, same thing. Just been blasted. Hit our support zone, which, it's always nice. Could you play the bounce? I mean, if you want to. NTR, I mean, this one's been another one that's gotten obliterated, bouncing. I mean, I'd love for these things to base out, like weeks, months of just going nowhere. Aaron. Yeah, global growth strong. Aluminum just XLF. Interesting action, getting into mid-33s, right? Again. Talked about like this mid-30, 200-day, 100-day cross. Look at that. And a gap down today. Sneaky. Something's going on in the banking industry. I'm just telling y'all. JP Morgan retesting the highs we talked about. You could short up here. Looks solid to me to short. Morgan Stanley, gaps down, hits the 100-day again. If you've been following the stock, doink, rejected it perfectly. Goldman Sachs, I mean, a lot of y'all know, just kind of just chopping out. Doesn't really look that great. KRE, now, again, we talked about this one being overly short, probably bouncing up into this, 42 to, I don't know, you can say a 44 range. Looking a little tired. Is this a professional gap? I don't know. I mean, again, keep in mind, if it's XDiv, it has a gap. Makes sense. Worth just keeping an eye on. XBI, bios, right? Making, retesting, I guess, range highs, pulling back. Watch the 20-day. I mean, all these names. Good old solar. This is one we've been dead right on. We talked about the first solar blow-off was being the top, going nowhere. Tan looks like junk. We talk about ENPH. Just let it bounce before you short it. Look at it. It's just been, it's coming back down. The volume's starting to increase. Sedgerton, this was nice. If you shorted this up at, the 300 level plus, nice. Looking good, y'all. Looking good. First solar, same thing. Talked about the blow off top. They had bought some company and it just rose. Just look at that. Come on down. HYG, just keep an eye on it just to pay attention to the background. Yeah, corporate debt does not look good, y'all. I mean, look at this. I mean, it is just, ugh. Ain't nobody got time for that. Oil, again, we've talked about chopping. Just leave it alone. UNG, 6, 7, trading around. Nice little pop. Again, I personally would just leave it alone. XOP, flying through these now. End this real quick. 100-day, we talked about it bouncing at the one teenager level, 114 to 15 level, whatever. 100-day seems to be massive resistance. Keep an eye on that, right? ExxonMobil, if you shorted this one, we talked about it up in the 118 to 119 monthly range. Now it's basing. Looks like it's about to break down. Looks like an M right here. A little Ronald McDonald heading lower. PXD popped on ExxonMobil buyout rumors. It's going nowhere. Good old Oxy. You know, Buffett just wants this thing to come down to sell covered calls. He's loving it. Da-da-da-da-da. He's loving it. Right? EQT. Wrap this up and then be done with it. Nice little bounce. Again, natural gas popped. I mean, I didn't pay attention to the earnings. Hopefully they did better of managing their futures exposure. Again, keep an eye on these names. I don't think they're worth buying. You can trade them. Last but not least, Flex LNG. Again, I think long term we will be a big exporter of natural gas. If you've watched this far, I appreciate it. Hit the like button, leave a comment below. I missed you guys. Appreciate everybody helping out in the Discord room. I know a lot of folks who felt a little lost when I wasn't around. If you ever have questions, please reach out. I appreciate everyone's patience. Again, I did not realize that what I was going through, especially again, because marriage is hard. People say, it's love and is easy, but people don't realize, like, you might be what you think is the best person to your partner, but if you get involved too deep in work, too deep in multiple things going on at once, like for myself, you neglect the people you love. I love extreme ownership of my problems in my life, and I warn people. I told them, like, what's my problem? I told you, I said, had some issues with the wife, with the family. It's been, unfortunately, too busy doing a lot too many things, and people can kind of lose their mind. And if you haven't listened to the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, very good book. It's kind of one of those things, like, get a dog, you think you know how to train a dog. You have kids, you think you're just going to figure out. Never been one to really understand much about marriages. Thought I was a good husband. Again, I think I'm a good person. Most people, I think, would agree that I try to help out, do the best I can. Didn't realize there was a lot of things that I did not know. And so here's me bearing my heart, my truth. I wasn't the best. I didn't realize it. But it's not that I couldn't figure it out. And that's the thing. If you have any questions about this stuff, I've learned a lot in the last couple of weeks. Been studying, trying to work on things with my own family. Please hit me up. Again, a lot of insights. I wasn't even aware of some of the things. And that's the thing. Lack of awareness is never an excuse. That's why extreme ownership. That's why people trade and they're like, oh, I didn't know this. And no. You gotta figure it out and put in mechanisms in place to protect yourself, no matter if you're aware. But here's the goal. Never stop learning. Appreciate the love, support. I'll talk to you guys and gals later. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, your PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.